Hello, ghosties. I'm Chance Lee,
And I'm Amanda McAvoy.
and this is That's So Gothic, a movie podcast about girls, guys, and haunted houses. Today's movie is about a young woman with a nun in the oven. She has no patience for nonsense. This movie has themes of crime and nunnishment. We've only just begun to talk about Immaculate.
That was good.
Thank you.
I know God saved me for a reason, but I guess I'm still searching for what that reason is. Too much blood of Christ.
It's a miracle. You are with child.
Out of all the women in the world, why did he choose me?
How can we trust what's inside you?
Suffering is love. Suffering, suffering, suffering is love.
Released in 2024, March of this year, Immaculate was directed by Michael Mohan, written by Andrew Lobel, and stars Sydney Sweeney as Sister Cecilia, Álvaro Morte as Father Tedeschi, I can't remember how they said his name, and a bunch of Italians.
Yes.
This is the story of a pregnant virgin nun, hence the title. Immaculate made $28 million against a budget of $9 million.
Wow.
It has a 71% critical tomato and a 59% audience tomato.
Really?
I was surprised.
Yeah, me too.
I looked at some of the audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Greg said her scream was really good. 3.5 stars.
That's fair.
That's the whole review.
Yeah.
Jesse said, terrible. This movie was made for 12-year-olds. 1 star.
I would not let a 12-year-old watch this movie.
I want to know what
12-year-old,
12-year-olds
yeah.
this guy is hanging out with.
Seriously. Oh my God.
And then Nicole said, this was a good slow burn horror film. Great acting. 5 stars.
Oh, okay, Nicole.
So
That's
all
good.
over the board.
Yeah.
Brian Tallarico for RogerEbert.com gave it 1.5 stars.
Wow.
I was surprised.
Me too. I'm shocked. This seems like it would. I thought that this was kind of a critical darling in a lot of ways.
Most of the critics seem to like it. He did not.
Wow.
He praised Sydney Sweeney and said that her desire to challenge herself is admirable. She goes dark places here, especially in an unforgettable final scene that could make viewers leave this one thinking they had just seen a good movie instead of a good ending on a bad movie.
Wow. I will say my general opinion of this movie is that it's really good scenes sort of tied together with, I wouldn't call them like it overall a bad movie though, but like for me personally, like I think there's really standout scenes and then everything else just feels not as developed and as good, but only because the standout scenes are so good. So I don't agree with his opinion that it's like I think it's a slow burn horror movie. And I mean, the closing scene is phenomenal, and I think is going to go down as like iconic. But I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it made me think. I was like, oh, because I do love the ending to this
Mm-hmm.
movie, and I tried to think about, did I let that color my opinion of the movie? But I liked it. I
Yeah.
saw this movie once in the theater, and I
Mm-hmm.
watched it again at home with the commentary. And I liked it more on the second watch, just
Same.
learning about the making of it and the attention that they paid to the story. I
Mm-hmm.
do wish the script had a little more to it. One thing I've noticed a lot in movies lately, and I'm gonna bring this up when I talk about what else I've been watching,
Mm.
is that there's a lot of movies that don't have a good B plot or
Yes.
any B plot. And this movie doesn't really have a B plot. It's just
No.
one story. And a movie with a B plot, even if you don't like the one story, you might like something else that's going on in the movie.
Right.
But if it doesn't have anything else and you don't like it, it's just a bad movie. So I could see why people might not like this movie because there's nothing else to hang on to. I just happen
Yeah.
to like all the nonsense that
Yes,
was
the
happening in
nonsense.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point though. You're right. It really is just a very singular movie about what's going on with this one particular nun. You don't even get too much development in the the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the opposition. Like you
Mhm.
don't get any sort of development like that. So, that's a really good point though. I'm gonna think
Mhm.
of that a lot now when I watch movies.
I feel like it's happening more and more these days where the
Yeah,
movies are just simpler.
right. And they're longer. How is that happening?
How is that happening? You spend so
Right.
much time on this one story or this one,
Yes.
not in this case, but sometimes it's like, "Oh my god, there's one boring character and we're just following their
Yes.
day-to-day life, and I just do not give a shit."
Right, right. Yeah. Good point.
Actually, that does bring me to a related point. So this
Mm.
director, he also directed a movie called Voyeurs with Sydney Sweeney,
Mm-hmm.
and that was released on Amazon. And th like I said, directed by the same guy. I don't know if it was the same scriptwriter. I think the scriptwriter is different. But yeah, nothing happens in that
Oh,
movie. It's
really?
just it's the one plot which I
Yeah.
found boring. It's supposed to be a sexy erotic thriller. I found it unsexy and unthrilling.
Mm.
It does have a revenge element that kicks in way too late, but most of it is I'm just like, why isn't anything happening? Why isn't there a single other character in this movie that
Yeah.
has a life?
Right. Yeah, I did not watch that one. And by the plot and the reviews I had seen, I wasn't really interested in watching it anyways, but it's good to know I didn't miss anything too exciting.
No, you haven't missed it.
Yeah.
What else have you seen with Sydney Sweeney?
I did watch the first season of what's that show that she's mostly known for? Euphoria.
Euphoria?
I did watch the first season of that. She's quite good in it. Um, I know she gets more of a storyline in the second season, but I gave up on the show. And I recently watched Madam Web, which I mean, breakout role, starring incredible. She's so weird in that movie. She's casted so weird in that movie. It's
She's
wonderful
like a
though.
nerdy teenager
Yeah,
in that
they
movie.
she literally is like, okay, so I don't know if you'll get this, but so back in the day on Tumblr, they used to like edit like Disney princesses to look like nerds, and they would literally just like Photoshop some thick black glasses on them and like maybe give them like a pile of books to hold. That's what I feel like they did to Sydney
That's
Sweeney
ex
in that movie.
that's exactly what they
That's
did with her.
literally what they did. They just slapped some big glasses on her, gave her like a backpack, and they were like, go, be
Yes.
shy and nerdy. Go, 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 go.
Yes. Oh,
She can
yes.
do so much. She can't do that.
Yeah, I also saw Madam Web, which
Hmm.
I weirdly enjoyed.
That movie.
Everyone hates that movie, but I liked it.
Yep.
She was fine in it. I like when they dance on the table to Toxic.
Yeah. Yes. The best. It's iconic.
There's an un-Sydney Sweeney related scene in that movie where Dakota Johnson has to play like a baby shower game about about her parents who are dead, and like that scene is genuinely hysterical. And
I
Dakota
was
Johnson is so good.
I was dying during that scene. Oh my god, I love her so much. She's so good. The only reason people don't like that movie is because they don't like Dakota Johnson, and that is a crime. Like, like God forbid a woman be awkward, and unlikable.
I think a lot about how Dakota Johnson's breakout role was in 50 Shades of Grey,
Mm-hmm.
which was Twilight fan fiction.
Yep.
And Dakota Johnson still gets a lot of the same criticism that Kristen Stewart got
Yeah.
in her career. And she just can't shake it. But she's so good in Madam
I
Web.
love her so much. So much. She's just confused and awkward and weird. She's great.
She's great. It's about some women who just want to have a good time and not be killed.
Honestly, kind of similar to Immaculate.
You're so right. You're so
Well, I guess
right.
maybe they don't want to have a good time, but they're trying.
They're trying to. They want to at least live a blessed life.
Exactly. They want to honor God.
Well, let's talk about the gothic elements of Immaculate. So we have our girl, Sister Cecilia.
Yes. Sister
She does want
Cecilia.
to honor God. She's very devout.
Yep.
Did she live in like Michigan or something weird, and now she's ended up in Italy?
So I have to admit, so I did watch the first Omen fairly recently, and they get compared a lot, and rightfully they get compared a lot. It's very similar in a lot of ways. And I can't remember if it's in the first Omen or if it's in this movie where the nun came from Massachusetts. It might
Okay.
be the first Omen though. But it is like similar in that she's definitely from the United States and she's hoisted over to it's Italy, right? She's in Italy in this movie.
She's in Italy in this
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
And yeah, she was from somewhere in the US. It's a
Yes.
smart choice. We don't need Sydney Sweeney talking like she's in a meatball commercial. As
I
fun
would
as that would
love
be.
that. I would love that.
As fun as that would be, it's a good choice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she has a very light backstory. She
Yes.
almost died in a
Drowned?
car accident, I think, drowned.
Yeah, I think
Maybe the car went in the water,
yeah,
maybe both.
something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And she believes that she was saved by God, and she's devoted her life to God, and
hmm
now she's just a nun.
Yeah.
She's a
She's
very
chilling out.
sexy nun. Yeah.
She's beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, but a nun
Oh, stunning.
nonetheless.
No. Good one.
Thank
That was
you.
a good one.
Thank you.
They do love having her like soaking wet in this
Yes.
movie.
She's always kind of damp.
Yes, they
Yeah.
like to show the nuns bathing together in
Yeah.
a big pool.
Yes. I
Mhm.
literally gasped at the scene, and I think it might be part of the marketing, the scene where she's like being, I don't even know exactly what they're doing, like worshiping her basically. And she has on the crown and the beautiful dress. Literally, it was the most stunning thing I've ever seen. Like, I understand Catholicism again. Like, oh my God. Like, it's just incredible. Like, she looks so good. And she has these big, huge, expressive eyes. Like, she's great. She's a great actress in this. I do like the character a lot. She kind of has some chutzpah to her. She's
Mhm.
tough, but she's very like she is. She's really just trying to be, put all of her faith in God.
And she's being manipulated by the
Yeah,
church. She
exactly.
ends up pregnant,
hmm
immaculate
Yes.
conception, hence the title. And yeah, as you said, they worship her. That scene is so good. She looks like a real life Renaissance painting.
Yes. The way that it's lit and everything too, it's really
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah.
And she's doesn't understand how or why this is
hmm
happening. No one will really tell her anything. She
Yes.
is actually pregnant. She's getting bigger. She's having the motion sickness.
Yep.
But she wants to just escape and see a real doctor instead of the weird little doctor
Italian
that
man.
they
Yeah.
that they employ.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a scene where she tries to escape, and we had in, I think it was When a Stranger Calls, we had Chekhov's fireplace remote where she had to learn to use the fireplace remote,
Mm,
and then she set the guy on fire. I like that this one is like Chekhov's chicken head, because there's this scene that's
yes.
almost played for comic relief where she can't slaughter the chicken because the nuns do everything themselves and she
Yep.
can't do it, and it's haha funny.
Yeah.
But then to escape, she like slaughters the chicken and puts pieces of it up inside of her to make it look
Yeah.
like she's had a miscarriage. It's great.
Right. And she's very convincing. And Sydney Sweeney plays stressed very well, because I
Mm.
love the part of the movie where she's in the back of the car, like, screaming because she's trying to play off like she's having this miscarriage. And, one of the priests or whatever, one of the guys in the front seat gets a phone call and like slowly turns to her. And you just see her whole expression like change. Like she's like, what? It's like, and then there's like sort of an iconic scene afterwards where she's running out through the field. But like, I love just that like brief 30 seconds of her in the car. Like, she plays that so well.
There's another scene that they called out in the commentary with the director
Mm-hmm.
where I forget the context, but she's screaming and pounding on the door
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get out of this room. And the director praises her for basically being able to go from 0 to that
Yeah.
without really needing any sort of warm up or
Right.
rehearsal. She can just freak the fuck out on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, the true hallmark of a good actress.
She's great in this. This is
She really is.
behind those Coke bottle glasses. I didn't really get to see her talents in Madam Web.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was a good showcase for her.
Yeah. And she's so smart and brilliant too. I mean, she's such an interesting person. Like, quick side note, like, I don't know how much you know about her, but like, she renovates like old cars in her free time. She has like a Chevy
Okay.
Bronco that she renovated. I mean, I'm sure you know, because I think they mention it in the director's commentary. Like, she did she produce this movie? She was a
This was
producer
her
on it.
passion project.
Yeah, it was like pitched to her like years ago. She auditioned for it, and I think she was even cast, but then the movie just never took off. And so basically it became, yeah, like you said, her passion project. I don't know if she graduated, but I know at some point she was going to school for entertainment business because she wants to be able to like understand contracts when they come to her and everything. So
Wow.
she's a very interesting person, and I really look forward to seeing like what she does in the future.
She has a very promising career ahead of her, I feel like.
Yeah. Glenn Powell, is that his name? Yeah, he recently said that he compared her to Batman in the way that she used the press speculating about an affair with them, like to promote the movie that they were in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Where they are faking a relationship, right? Isn't that what that movie's
In the
about too?
movie, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like her, I think her fiance or maybe even husband, I don't know if she's married, was like a producer on the movie. So like obviously she didn't have an affair. And like I do think that she knew how to play it up for the press. I mean, I don't think anyone would have really cared about the movie that much if it wasn't for that. So
Right.
she's a smart cookie.
Glenn Powell's everywhere, huh?
He is, and he's growing on me more. I think literally in the last episode I said something about how I hate him.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of retract it. He seems like he's maybe charismatic and nice, but he's not out of my woods yet. So he's going to have to work a little bit harder.
I feel like at least a couple times a week, some article about him shows up in my
Yeah.
entertainment feed.
People love to like write about him. And I don't really
Interesting.
find him that interesting, actually. So I don't know why he keeps getting these articles about him.
People seem to think he's going to be the next Tom Cruise.
Wow. Was he in Top Gun, the new one?
I think so.
Was that him? Yeah. Interesting.
And he's in Twisters.
Twisters. The S. Yeah.
More than one Twister in this one.
So many Twisters. Yeah.
I won't see it.
No, probably not.
So Glenn Powell is not our guy, but we do have a hot priest.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A hot Italian priest.
hot Italian priest. He does not get a lot of screen time,
Hmm.
but I do still like a hot priest.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty good in this. I like the scene where they're telling her that she's pregnant, and they're like, well, they don't start by telling her that they're pregnant. They start by, very like religiously skirting around the question of if she's had sex. And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of I don't want to say a fun scene, but it's kind of funny. Just watching these grown men like berate this, because I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be like a teenager in this, but at least young woman. Um, but he does a pretty good job. He plays creepy pretty well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of straight men talking about her and her body
Mm,
right in front of her in this movie. It
yes.
happens very early on with the like security guards for the airport or the train,
Yes, that's right.
and then that theme continues.
Yes. Yeah. There's also the like mother superior character or whatever she is, and she's a whole pill.
Mhm.
She's a time, but she really gets her comeuppance at the end, and it's very fun to watch.
She is also an agent of the patriarchy, the Catholic
Yes,
patriarchy in this.
that's right. She is.
That let's transition, we'll come back to House. We'll
Hmm.
transition to The Haunt because The Haunt being this, I don't know, Catholicism,
Yeah.
the Catholic patriarchy.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us more about the nun's fate.
Well, so the nun, how exactly does it happen? She gets she gets close to Sydney Sweeney. I can't remember. Is Sister Cecilia Sydney Sweeney? She like pretending to be asleep or something? I don't remember. She's like laying down in a bed,
She's
and
very pregnant at this point.
yeah,
Yeah.
like very, very pregnant. And basically she grabs, is it a cross or is it a statue?
Hmm. It's
Yeah,
like a giant cross,
right.
maybe even
And
a
she,
crucifix. I forget.
yes, and she swings it and hits her in the head, and she goes down. And then I know she keeps beating her. I forget. Does she kick her or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. It's really
It's
good.
so good.
Yeah.
The the third act of this movie is when Sister Cecilia decides to use all of this Catholic iconography against them.
Yes. Yeah.
She strangles the head priest with rosary beads.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What does she do
And
to the doctor? She like throws him off a
she sets
balcony or
him on
something?
someone she sets on fire.
Okay, that might be the doctor. Yeah.
And the whole what happens, the reveal is that the they have the nail that was used to crucify
Crucify.
Jesus,
Yeah.
and they were able to scrape some DNA off of it and
Hmm.
have basically cloned Jesus and implanted the clone in her. So she is
Yes.
the new Mary, and she ends up stabbing the hot priest through the neck with that nail at the end, which
Yes.
is also really good.
Yeah. And I think the commentary they mentioned, I think they might have done that in like one shot, which
Mm,
is like incredible because it's like a crazy scene. Um, it's really good. But yeah, I do like that this movie was not supernatural. It didn't have that element. I do like that it's kind of a Frankenstein type thing. It's kind of fun.
I like that as well. And I like a movie. I like that this story is almost about religion achieving its goal. Like they
Yeah,
have managed to bring back Jesus, which is one of
right.
these main goals of religion.
Yes.
And in this way, the Sydney Sweeney character is practically the Antichrist because like
Right.
she's gonna kill the savior if she gives birth to it.
Yes. And I mean, someone better versed on it could speak on it more, but I love the concept of, I love anytime I hear about like the Catholic Church using science, because it feels
Mm.
so contradictory in my mind. But it is like, it does
Hmm.
happen. Like the Catholic Church does support, science that supports them. And so like this could be like a really, I'm sure there's going to be people who are much, like I said, much better versed in it than I am, who will write about how like I love this this mad Catholic scientist trope is like really, really cool to me.
I agree. It's very, to me, I thought it was unique. It was
Yeah,
clever
it was.
and
Yeah.
fun, and they don't overplay it. They just,
Hmm.
you're wondering what's going on. They tell you pretty quickly, and then
Yeah.
you just move along. It's nice that they don't really dwell on it. It doesn't need to
Yeah.
be this huge thing.
Exactly. It kind of reminded me of like the whole third act of this movie reminded me of A Cure for Wellness, where it's this like kind of surprising, again, like yes, it's outlandish, yes, it's crazy, but it's like sort of backed in science kind of thing. And
Hmm.
it's actually more unexpected in a horror movie for that than your typical goblins and ghouls.
And they go underground in both movies.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I saw actually like a lot of similarities in them. I thought that was kind of there's the part where she's floating in the water with her belly. Very Cure for
Yeah.
Wellness. Yeah, yeah.
Was
That
Cure
would be
for
a
Wellness filmed at some old church too, or where was that? I
yeah. I
can't
think
remember
it
where that one was
was or like
filmed.
an infirmary or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That would be a really fun double feature actually.
They really would.
Yeah, they pair well together.
That's true. I like that idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I could handle Sydney Sweeney and Mia Goth in the same movie. Like that might just
Oh
be
my
too
god,
amazing.
that would be my brain would explode.
I
Mia
would
Goth in
die.
the third season of Euphoria.
Yes.
I
Put
have
her
to
in as
start
like a
watching it.
guidance counselor or something.
Yeah, Mia Goth
I don't know.
and
I've never seen that show. I don't even know what
no,
they do on it.
Mia Goth, Madam Web too. Oh my god. Actually, I could see her in that. She's very spidery.
She's supposed to be in the new Blade movie, so she has
Oh,
been absorbed into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
okay. All
But
right.
I read an article saying it hasn't even begun production. I guess it's been in development hell for years.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for that one.
Part of me hopes it never gets made because I don't want to actually have to see it. But as a Mia
Right.
Goth completionist, I will.
You would
But
have to.
if it doesn't get made, but she signed the contract, like I want her to still get that Marvel money without
Yeah,
without me needing to go see the movie. I want her to get
that's fair.
paid.
That is
Mhm.
very fair. Yeah.
Mhm. So the catacombs they filmed in were real,
Mm-hmm.
and on the commentary they talked about how they could only be down there for an hour and a half.
Right. They had to like leave to get to replenish their oxygen. It's
Just
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Um,
challenges that came with it are crazy.
but our house is this gorgeous convent,
Mm-hmm.
which is a real location in Italy called Via Parisi.
Mm.
It was built in 1604,
Wow.
and it has been used for a few horror movies from the 60s and 70s.
Oh.
The most famous one that I've actually never seen, so I'm just going by the fact that they said it was the most famous one on Wikipedia, was the 1974 film Blood for Dracula,
Ooh.
starring Udo Kier. They have a website,
Mm-hmm.
parisivilla.com,
Okay.
and it's all about selling you on having your wedding there, pretty much.
Oh.
And so it's funny, they mention films that have been filmed there. There's
Mm-hmm.
no mention of any horror films.
Really? That's so funny.
They like don't want to they don't want to go there. They're like, no, you should have your bride, you should have your wedding here,
Yeah.
you should have a shower here, have your birthday here. No one's gonna get killed here, they
Yeah.
say on the website.
Don't have a baby shower here.
There's no, that's true, no baby showers.
No baby
It's really gonna
showers.
harm the baby shower business at Via Parisi. That's a good
Oh
point.
my
But
god.
they do have a lot of pictures. You can look at a lot
Uh-huh.
of pictures that are
Oh.
all they look very like softly Instagram filtered.
Oh.
But I'm pretty sure the exact bathroom from this movie is pictured on the website.
Really? Like the one with the big
Hmm.
tub in the middle?
The big tub, there's a toilet and a bidet.
Yeah. Oh.
So the little no, sorry, no, so there's a little bathroom that's like her bathroom. I don't know if she ever goes in there
Oh.
other than maybe at the very beginning.
Yes. Right, right, right.
Yeah, so that bathroom is pictured, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Oh.
Um, one of the other movies they mentioned that was shot there is a movie I never saw called Tea with Mussolini with Cher and Judi
Ooh,
Dench.
what? That sounds wonderful.
Yes. And it's
Oh,
directed by Franco Zeffirelli, who did the Romeo and Juliet with Olivia Hussey.
oh, interesting. Huh.
So it reminded me that movie existed. I have not thought
Yes,
about that movie in 25 years, so I
right.
might try to watch that, dig that up.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
But
Mm.
they make very good use of this setting.
They do. They really do. It's so beautiful. My favorite part of the director's commentary is, and it's funny because when he said it, I was like, oh, we should add this as a bonus Gothic. And then I thought, oh my God, if we add this as a bonus Gothic, it would be in every single episode because the director mentions that he thinks that he counted and he thinks that they had 23 instances of them opening and closing doors. And I just thought that was so
Right.
funny, but like also so on brand, I feel like, for like a Gothic movie.
Uh-huh.
Again, like we should not make it an official Gothic bonus, but like it is, it's something I didn't think about like when watching a movie is like, oh my God, like they did open and close a door so freaking often in this movie.
I'm going to be thinking about doors a lot now.
Yes, right? And like, I don't know, I feel like that's like one of the most Gothic pieces of a house. And it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. We should have talked about doors more when we watched Skeleton Key. I don't think we gave doors enough attention.
We're going to have to go back and redo all the
Yeah.
episodes. We'll just have a door episode. We'll rewatch all the movies and talk about the doors.
Perfect. Or I was going to say we could have like an offshoot podcast. That's so Gothic doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Doors, parentheses, not Jim Morrison.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe we'll get a lot of people looking for podcasts about the Doors who will
That's
listen.
true. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just love that the director like pointed that out too. Like 23 instances of opening and closing a door.
Yeah, I never would have thought about that. I remember him mentioning that.
Yeah. And it's I think it adds a lot to this movie and to the atmosphere because it feels very, it's supposed to feel kind of claustrophobic and contained,
Mm-hmm.
and probably subliminally in your head you're watching all these doors open and close, and it's kind of anxiety inducing.
There's also the scene where she's looking through the keyhole.
Yeah, right.
That one's really good. The filming of that is really good too.
It is, yeah.
As she's watching one of her friend nuns get her tongue cut off.
Oh yeah, there's some
Do we-
really icky parts.
I was about to say, do we ever see her again? But yes, we see her body in the catacombs.
Yeah, and I think it was also in the director's commentary he's talking about how like before they filmed that scene he had to like prepare the crew because the body was so disgusting, and how like he wanted to make it a point to make it look like an actual dead human body as
That's
opposed
right.
to like other movies just kind of make them look, you know, like bloated or whatever. Like I don't remember what he says, but like this body is very gross. It's like emaciated and it's like it's
Yeah.
icky. Yeah.
Oh, is that actually the body of the woman? There's a scene at the very beginning before the movie even begins.
Right.
She's buried alive and it's really horrific.
Yeah.
Is that might be her? Do they
It
find
could
both of them?
I don't know. I don't remember.
A lot of dead nuns to find
A
room for
lot
in
of
this
dead
movie.
nuns. Yeah. Yeah. There's none more room.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the haunt for just a moment. I was looking at by researching, I mean I was on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And I was on the Wikipedia page for the second coming of Christ.
Ooh.
Because I don't really know anything about it other than
No.
people think it's going to happen.
Yep.
And I wanted to confirm that the Catholics also believe in it because at first I was like, oh, Christianity. And I'm like, well, Christianity and Catholicism are a little different.
Yeah.
And so they do. The Catholic Church believes that the second coming will happen in a single moment, suddenly and unexpectedly. Not even the angels, saints, or demons will know when it will occur.
Wow.
It will cause the fullness of the reign of God and the consummation of the universe and mankind. The church does not believe the second coming will happen via catastrophe, such as nuclear war, reincarnation, such as someone claiming to be Jesus, social or technological progress. So,
Ooh.
this isn't quite the second coming then,
Yeah.
because this is, I would say, technological progress. And the last one I didn't understand, or ascendancy, such as the church having political power.
Huh.
I feel like they already do, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to mention that.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I grew up Catholic. I did the whole 14 years of CCD and all, well, I think technically like 10 years of CCD, and I still don't understand.
What is CCD?
I don't even know what it stands for, but Sunday school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably like Catholic something. I don't even know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, please do. I have no idea what it stands for. But yeah,
It's the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine.
Hilarious. I never would have guessed that. That is very funny. But yeah, I will say, like, I don't remember a whole lot of, maybe it was just the churches I went to. They didn't talk about like the end times a whole lot. I know that a lot of Catholics get a lot of flack for that. They really push it. I don't quite like I was surprised when you said the thing about like it happening in a second. I had no idea. Color me
Me
surprised.
neither.
Yeah. But it's also like a funny, like, this movie is an interesting take on this because I feel like other movies like The Omen and I mean, I think technically Good Omens is supposed to be like a spoof of The Omen, but the Catholic Church is always trying to like make the Antichrist to make people like come to the church. So it is kind of a funny like take on it, I guess.
Yeah, I thought this was original the way they
Yeah, it
approached
definitely
it,
is.
which I liked.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening. Like, I'm like, why is she pregnant? I don't know.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
I don't
when they
know.
told me, I said, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And then I
that
mean,
it was simple, but it worked.
yeah, and then just that ending, man. I mean, it's brutal. It is
It's
so
really good.
good. It is so unexpected. I mean, I, I don't even know what to say about it. Like, it's, if you haven't seen it, please go see it just for the ending. It's you'll probably guess just by how speechless I am, but like, it's how it's everything that happens. It's so wild.
It's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I don't care about spoiling stuff because otherwise, why are you listening to this? But I
Yeah.
do think the ending is worth watching.
Yeah.
And Sydney Sweeney screams for a really long time.
Yes.
And it seems to happen over just one very long take.
Yes, it does.
Which is also impressive.
Right. So if you haven't seen the ending, go see it. Because now I'm going to say she kills the baby. The baby is born out of her. It literally plops out. And I think you even hear the placenta afterwards. Like, it's just like
there's a lot of noise.
And then she literally kills the baby with a rock. And I think this movie came out before the presidential debate, but I think I saw it after the presidential debate. I know, wild. But there's a really funny line in the debate where Donald Trump says something about how, he keeps saying this, how like Democrats want mothers to be able to kill the baby after they're born. Like, that's his whole thing. And my brother sent me a really funny text because Donald Trump said something about like, mothers are trying to kill their babies after they're born. Or I think Joe Biden then says like, they're allowed to terminate the pregnancy if it's a danger to the mother's health or something. But the way he says it, it makes him sound like he's advocating that you should be able to kill a baby if it endangers the mother's health after the baby is born. And so my brother sent me a really funny text about how he's just picturing a baby getting born with like an AK-47, like just like ready to like shoot up the like, it's just horrible. But that's also what I thought of when I watched the ending of this movie, is the baby posing a risk to the mother. this is the future liberals want is
I can't wait until they use Immaculate as a political tool on both sides.
honestly. They should. They should. I would love I'm so sick of politics right now in America. What would get me reinterested? Put Sydney Sweeney in the middle of the presidential debate and just let her defend the fact that she killed a baby. And then I want the two to argue over it. That's all I want.
There was a memo or something that was leaked, and I don't remember if it was a plan to either reintroduce Kamala Harris as the nominee or to have Democratic debates to decide who the nominee would be.
Okay.
But one of the events that they suggested to appeal to young people, they suggested be moderated by Zendaya and Mr. Beast.
Wow. No, make it Zendaya. It's Sydney Sweeney.
Right. I was gonna say she
Yeah.
can appear in that one.
Yes. Oh my God. They should do that though. I would be interested. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
I just wanted to mention Mr. Beast.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about a Mr. Beast video in one of our podcasts.
Mr. Beast getting kind of gothic. There was some news, some complaints about Mr. Beast and his upcoming reality show that do make it seem kind of like gothic torture.
Oh my God.
So just Google that.
Yeah, fantastic. Next episode. Oh my goodness.
Next episode is Beast Games on Amazon Prime.
Oh my God.
Well, anything else you wanted to add to our gothic elements or any bonus gothics?
No, I don't think there really are any bonus gothics. We have Panano, no romantic rivals really, no incest really.
No.
Yeah. No
I mean, she
bonus.
loves God, and
she does
this
love
is
God.
like some twisted version of God,
That is
so.
true. That is true. Yeah. Minor bonus gothic. Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, do you think this movie is gothic? Is it so gothic, goth-ish, or no gothic?
This one's hard. What do you think? You go first.
I'm gonna say gothic.
Yeah.
I think it's like textbook gothic.
Yeah. Yep, that is true. And especially I think if it was Supernatural, I'd be feeling more strongly that it was gothic, but
That's
I still
true.
think that the quote unquote haunt in this is still gothic enough, and it's kind of like a modern gothic.
That's true. I sold it short by calling it more traditional because it does have that science element.
Yeah.
It's like the Catholic Church meets Jurassic Park. You've got
Yes, it
this
is.
DNA manipulation.
Yeah. I know
She gave
DNA.
She gave birth to a velociraptor. We just, couldn't see it.
Exactly.
But and there's even she's in the back of the car, kind of like Jeff Goldblum was in the back of the Jeep.
That's right. Oh my
driving
goodness.
away. This really is just an homage to Jurassic Park.
It is.
But I agree that it is gothic.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any memorable scenes that we didn't talk about that you wanted to bring up?
I think I brought up most of the scenes. Like I said, I think that this is a movie filled with strong scenes. I mean, obviously the most memorable is the ending. It can't not be. But then my second favorite is the one where she's kind of being worshipped and everything like that. So those are my like top memorable scenes. What about you?
There's a really good scene early on that's kind of a dream sequence. So normally I wouldn't really care for it, but it's when she is in the confessional booth and she's confessing to the priest, but the booth just keeps getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
So I like that you know it's a dream, so it doesn't end up being one of those jump scares where you're like, oh, it's a dream. Like it's a dream while you're watching it, which is nice.
Right.
And there's still a jump scare, which I actually won't spoil because I knew I'd even seen it already. And I was like, I know something's going to happen, but I
Yeah.
don't know what. And then something happened and I went, ah, like it got me twice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's this really gross scene near the end when she pulls off her own fingernail. She's kind of like, I don't know, rotting from this Jesus clone inside of her.
Yeah. I forgot
And that
about
part's
that.
really gross and just done with makeup and
Yeah.
practical effects, which is really good.
Ugh.
And last but not least is a line in a movie that does not have a lot of comedy to it.
Mhm.
But when her water breaks and she says, "God damn it."
God damn it.
That's so good.
It's so good, especially because it's such a tense scene. It's like tension, 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 tension. And then the water breaks. It's so good.
Yes, I love a nun. I love a foul-mouthed nun. This is like
Yes.
the second best movie about foul-mouthed nuns next to Little Hours with Aubrey
Oh, I
Plaza.
love Little Hours. Yeah.
So I love a foul-mouthed nun. And you eventually get that from her, you know.
Yes.
You have to be curious. I wonder if she would keep being a nun after this, like,
I know.
or if she's
Yeah.
gonna swear off the church. Who
I think
knows?
she has to. I mean, just for
Right?
sake of you're gonna have to spend way too much time in the confessional booth for this one.
They deserved it though.
That's
Well, I guess that doesn't matter
100%.
though. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
scheme of things
Right. The whole thing
from
with
the
Christianity, Catholicism, you gotta repent for everything.
everything. That's true. Oh,
Everything. Yeah.
how exhausting that must
I
be.
know. Poor Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, what else have you been watching, reading, enjoying, Amanda?
So I mean, I actually watched after this, and I didn't watch it because of Sydney Sweeney, and we've already talked about it a little bit, but I did watch Madame Web, and I had so much fun watching that movie. I was very stoned, and I highly, highly recommend watching it under the influence of something because it is so much fun when you watch that way. I genuinely thought you had kind of recommended it to me. Obviously, it has terrible reviews. Everyone says it's like worse than Morbius. And I truly despise Morbius because I think it's just so boring. I didn't
Yeah.
think Madame Web was boring. There's definitely parts that like it could have been 20 minutes shorter. But like I would not call that movie boring. And I think a huge part of that is Dakota Johnson is so good in it. Like I just love her. And I said it at the top. People don't like this movie because they don't like Dakota Johnson. And I don't understand. She's awkward. She's weird. Like and like people don't like it because like she was awkward and weird on the press tour. It's like, what do you mean? Of course she was. Like that's just who I don't know. I had a lot of fun watching it. I loved the fact I can't believe she went to Peru. I thought that was the funniest. I was cackling laughing. The part where she drives a car through a concrete wall.
Ooh.
I literally screamed at the top of my lungs. My sister-in-law in the next room thought I like was grievously injured. No, I screamed at that. I love that movie. It's fun. It's not good, but it's fun, and it's not as bad as Morbius. That genuinely infuriates me.
I never finished Morbius. I turned Morbius
Yeah,
off.
it's bad. It's just bad.
I thought Madame Web was fun, as you said.
Yeah.
I liked it better than most superhero movies, which I don't
Yes.
normally enjoy. The characters are, for the movie they're in, they're smart.
Yes.
They try to solve their situation. So many of the Marvel movies, they're all just fucking idiots. Like
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all just a bunch of dopes.
Yes.
The Spider-Man movies, especially with Tom Holland, they're all fucking morons.
Yes.
And I just can't stand it. But this movie is fun. Dakota Johnson's so smart and
Right.
interesting and engaging. I wish Emma Roberts had more to do in it. She was good in her couple
Yeah.
of scenes.
Yep.
The villain is exceptionally boring.
Yes.
Um,
And I think he is. I think there's a reason for it, but he sounds dubbed through the whole movie.
he does.
And I
Yeah.
think there was some like post-production editing. Like my brother
Mm,
mentioned something about I don't know, but he sounds very strange in the whole movie. But honestly,
yeah.
that was the only part of his character I enjoyed, was that he sounded weird.
And he has Zasha Mamet as a sidekick. She's
Yes.
relegated to the like Jenny Slate role from Venom,
Yes.
where the only reason we care about this character is because she's played by someone charming.
Exactly. She's the guy at the computer, yeah.
Yes. So there'll never be another one because it was such a disaster,
Yeah,
which is,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, probably for the best, but I'm glad we got it. I
yeah.
enjoyed
And
it.
I'm genuinely pissed too that like everyone hated Morbius. Everyone agreed that Morbius was a bad movie, but it got this sort of like weird cult following because it was so bad. And I genuinely feel like Madam Web isn't getting that because it's, and like this isn't me just being like rah rah, but like I genuinely do feel like it's because it's a woman led
Oh,
movie. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There's no male love interest. Like their
Yes.
goal isn't to be sexy or get
Right.
fucked.
Yes.
So the predominantly male film critic industry hates
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. And like even if you don't like it, it pisses me off that it doesn't at least get the kind of like, I feel like Morbius is kind of like relegated to the specific niche of movie and is accepted there. This movie is very much like everyone just wants to forget about it and be done with it.
Right.
Yeah.
They just want to act like it never happened.
Yeah. And it did. And it was fun. And I
It was
also,
fun.
the comedy in it is very funny to me. I know it's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but like you said, the scene where she starts talking about her dead parents, genuinely hilarious.
That
It's
scene
so
is
funny.
so good.
So funny.
There's this is a kind of a deep cut, but there's this movie called The Clouds of Sils Maria that is directed by the guy who did Personal Shopper with Kristen Stewart,
Oh, yeah.
and Kristen Stewart is in it,
Mm-hmm.
and she is Juliette Binoche's assistant in this
Mm-hmm.
movie, and they go see a Marvel superhero type movie together.
Oh.
They have the 3D glasses on, and Chloe Grace Moretz plays an actress who is in this movie. It's kind of like X-Men. She's a mutant. She
Oh,
shoots
okay.
lasers, but she delivers this speech about like, I think she's like a rape survivor or something.
Yeah.
And Juliette Binoche is trashing the movie afterwards. And Kristen Stewart tells her, she says, if that speech were in any other movie, you would love it. And
Right.
I thought about that with Madam Web. If that Dakota Johnson scene was in some A24 movie,
Yeah.
people would eat that shit up.
They would. That is such a good point. They would.
Yes. They just didn't like it. Well, I don't know. Dakota Johnson, people might be a little polarized, but if it was somebody that people liked in the same scene in a
That's true.
different movie,
That's
like
true.
people would love it. Anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I stand Madam Web.
Yeah. Absolutely, I do. Anyways, enough Madam Web. What have you been watching, reading, listening to?
Polar opposite of Madam Web. I watched Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel.
Ooh.
So this movie was fantastic.
Oh.
I have been trying to watch this movie for a while. Not like really hard, but most of the versions of it are edited. There is an NC-17 cut, which is I'm holding in my hands right
Oh.
now, that I ordered from Amazon. I had requested this from a library in our library system a
Mhm.
couple of years ago, and it said it was this one, and it arrived, and it was the R-rated one. So I had to send them a little note. I said, "I'm sending this
Good.
back to you. I want you to know that it's miscatalogued."
Yep.
And
Good.
so I finally got it and watched it. This movie is from 1992. It's directed by Abel Ferrara, who I don't really know what he's known for other than this movie. He
Yeah.
directed a movie in the 70s called The Driller Killer, which is
Ooh,
about a
that sounds fun.
killer with a drill. It's actually really good.
Ooh.
He might have done Maniac, but I might be wrong about that
Mm.
one. And he did a remake of Body Snatchers, also in the
Oh,
90s, which is not good, but not bad.
okay.
Anyway, this movie is great. And the
Really?
reason why it is so good is because there's a B plot. And there's a Reddit, I think it was on Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
someone said that this is the only NC-17 rated baseball movie. And I thought that was such a great review. So ostensibly, the movie is about a bad lieutenant.
Uh-huh.
So he's a cop with a drug problem, and he is investigating the brutal rape of a nun. So
Whoa.
unintentionally relates to Immaculate in a
Yeah.
way. But almost every single scene, he is either watching or listening to the World Series playoff games. And because he has bet so much money that the Dodgers will win.
Yeah.
And that just runs through the whole movie.
Huh.
And that is really his driving thing, is like these bets that he's making and keeps losing.
Yeah.
And it just makes the movie, it gives the movie this solid through line. And it's just so interesting because they're either talking about the murder,
Uh-huh.
or it's not the murder. They're either talking about the crime,
Right.
or they're talking about baseball, or both. Like, it just makes it feel so real.
Yeah.
It was great. Harvey Keitel is so good in this movie.
Yeah.
He's honestly terrible, but like in a
Yeah.
interesting way. The whole nun thing and the concept of like forgiveness and all that, it plays in a really interesting way. The script is really good. This movie
Mm.
was, I believe, written by a woman, Zoe Lund,
Okay.
who also worked with Abel Ferrara on another movie where I think she dresses up as a nun and kills people. I don't think she
Ooh.
is a nun, but I think she dresses up for some reason. So that's on
Fun.
my watch list.
Yep.
But yeah, I just loved this movie. The commentary on it is one of the worst
Really?
commentaries I've ever listened to, which was a bummer.
Oh.
It
Is
was
it with the direct? Yeah.
the director, who acted like, I don't know when they recorded the
Yeah.
commentary, I don't know if it was like 10, 15 years after the movie. He acted
Mm-hmm.
like he didn't remember any of it. He acted like he was like, "What's going on here?" Like, he just.
Yeah.
And then the director of photography, it's him and the DP. And
Mm-hmm.
all the director of photography does is complain about how poor the transfer is to DVD. He's
Oh.
like, "When we shot this on film, this looked better, and this DVD looks like
Oh.
shit." It was so bad.
That's so
They said
funny.
nothing interesting about it.
Yeah. Huh.
So, but highly recommend this movie. It's great. It's only an hour and a half.
Nice.
And yeah, Bad Lieutenant.
Nice. So where did you end up buying that copy, the NC-17 copy?
Amazon.com.
All right.
I
Nice.
think it was like $8 or something.
Oh, cool. Good. Nice.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Check it out. Well, thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Ghosties, for listening to us break down Immaculate. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I saw we're also on Amazon Podcasts, which I didn't even
Oh.
know was a thing.
Wow.
And I tried, my confession is that I tried to give us a 5-star rating, but it won't let me do it unless I listen to a certain amount of our own content, and I don't
Oh,
know how
that's
much I
funny.
have to listen to. So
Yeah.
one of these days I'll just put us on in the
Yeah.
background and then give us
Right.
a 5-star review. But if you listen to us on Amazon for some reason, please give us a review
Yeah.
and share us with a friend. So
Yes.
until next time, stay ghosty. Bye-bye.
Bye.